So what does a leader look like? And more importantly, what does a leader actually do? What is a leader in our space? Somebody who's leading a network marketing organization? What are the things they do that really do lead that team to success? That's what I want to talk about this chapter. And the first thing is they create a track for leadership. And the analogy I can best give you here was when I was the president of the Florida Speakers Association, which was the local chapter of the National Speakers Association. Every month we'd have our regular general membership meeting, and then we'd have a board meeting after the meeting. And every month I'd go around and I'd find a couple of people that had impressed me, and I say, I believe you have what it takes to be on the leadership team here. We have a board of directors meeting coming up after the general meeting. Why don't you sit in at that? Because I just think that'd be really good for you, and I believe you're a good candidate for leadership in this organization. And do you know the next 5 presidents after my term were all people that I had just sought out, let them know I thought they were destined for doing leadership things, invited them to be part of that, and so they started sitting in on the board meeting, and then they got involved in committees, and you create that track. So it kind of became, you were the vice president of memberships, and then you were the vice president of programming, and then you were president-elect, and then you were president. Same thing in your organization. We have the pin ranks, right? And part of leadership is your ability to move up through the pin ranks, but there also needs to be a track that people follow, where they start to participate in opportunity meetings. And then, first they're volunteers, and they might start as greeters, and then they're working the table, and then they're doing a testimonial, and then they're doing a portion of it. Then they might be guest speakers doing it. Then they might graduate to the level where they're conducting some training. Then they're involved in the bigger events. What does that track look like for your team? And put it out there so people know, here's what it takes to become a leader within this organization. So that's the first thing leaders do. Second thing they do is they build belief. Now, how do we build belief? Well, obviously there's a lot of things, and we're going to do a chapter in depth on this, but they really do let people know that they believe in those people, and they lend them their belief until the people develop their own belief. And I believe this is the greatest gift that you can ever give anybody in your team, is that gift of believing in them. That gift, if you ask me what is the secret of my success, I would say the secret is my ability to see greatness in people, oftentimes before they even saw it in themselves. So, create a leadership track, build belief in your people. Third thing leaders do is they set the culture for the organization. And we're going to do a whole chapter on this as well. But what is culture? Remember, go back to what we said in one of the beginning courses. We talked about culture is the standard for how people behave when there isn't a manual for it, when there isn't a rule for it, when there isn't a policy for it. They just figure out this is what needs to be done to make the situation right. This is how we behave in this organization. So you don't set the culture by creating rules and training manuals and everything. You set the culture by how you act yourself, by the example you set for the team, and how you treat the team, and how you demand to be treated yourself, right? By the boundaries you set, the expectations you create, the actions you take. We all set the culture for our organization, and leaders set a culture that pulls people up, a culture that people want to aspire to. And that leads us to the fourth thing that leaders do, is they create a team vision. And I know a lot of you probably have team names and a team identity, and I think that's great. I don't have any problem with that. I've always felt that that's exciting when you go to the company convention and somebody says about the so-and-so team, and everybody in that area is screaming, and then different leaders up and they're talking about their team, and all those people are screaming, and there's a pride and ownership of being on that team. Great. But there's something bigger than that. And that is a vision for that team. What is that team about? Where are they going? What is the reason for being for that team? Because it isn't just to sell the products. I promise you, there's something bigger than that. It isn't just to make money and get bigger bonus checks. I promise you, there's something bigger than that. They need a vision. They need somebody who will lift their eyes above the horizon toward a greater future. And when you create that vision, you become a great leader.